home, Joshua. I, nai, 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 I, nai, 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 eh, nai, 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 I, nai, 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 I, nai, 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 I, nai, 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 I, nai, 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 I, die, 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 I, die, 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 I, die, 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 oh. All right, so I know that Elizabeth can't be with us tonight because she had some kind of conflict. So it looks like a small group unless someone else is going to come on. But also, I just want to let folks know that Becca... Oh, here's David. Great. You guys remember Becca? So she switched to the Tuesday night group because she had missed so many that she wanted to just kind of start over again. So that's where she is. All right, David, good to see you. So last week where we left off is we had just learned together the story of the flood. So I just want to check in. We're going to start where we left off, but I wanted to see if anybody had any thoughts or comments on that before we begin. Or questions or anything. Okay, so let's dive in then. By the way, the overarching theme of what we're studying nowadays is HOKHMAH, which is the second sphera of the Tree of Life. And HOKHMAH is often associated with water, so it connects with the story of the flood. And one little piece that I'd like to bring out is that there was a very kind of a dark side to that story and kind of a light side to that story. The dark side, of course, is the destruction of humanity because of all of their evil, all of their violence and robbery toward each other and so on. But then there's the rainbow in the sky that becomes a symbol of a covenant with all humanity. So the rainbow, according to the Torah, is a universal symbolism of the unity of humanity. And God makes that promise not to destroy again. Okay. Oh, and also, when God says that he regrets having destroyed humanity and he's never going to do it again, the word for regret, nicham in Hebrew, shares the same two letters as the word Noah. The word Noah is in the word nicham. And so... and the word Noah means comfort. And the mem in Nicham, the mem, means water. So just to see that that there's a combining of comfort with water, which of course is the rainbow, which needs rain in the sky in order to happen. But it's also the darker side of that is the destructiveness of water. But we can also see that destructiveness of water as a metaphor for purification, for the dissolution of all that is negative and destructive, kind of dissolving and reverting back into its root, which in the practical sense is what meditation is. When we meditate, we are conscious of our impulses, of our emotions, our feelings, and through a prolonged being present with what we're feeling, any kind of negative emotions will ultimately dissolve back into their root. It's like we're flooding them with consciousness, not trying to push them away or telling them they should be different or judging them, just being present with them. That allows that transformation to take place. So we have that as that's really what HOKHMAH is. HOKHMAH represents consciousness itself, and it's also creativity because creative insight springs forth spontaneously, just as plants spring forth from the ground when water starts to penetrate the earth. Okay. All right, so I think we talked about this already. The last piece of this is this question: what do you think about deeds creating karmic consequences? Hey, Lori, good to see you. Because, of course, in the story of Noah and the flood, the main theme is really karmic consequence. I mean, it's like because of all of the evil that people were doing, this destructive flood came upon them. Any thoughts about deeds creating karmic consequences? All right, Deborah, can you read here?
The story of the Great Flood is among the earliest examples of the Jewish idea of divine justice, commonly known in a less anthropomorphic way as karma, a word borrowed from the traditions that emerged from India. The following Talmudic excerpt reinforces this idea.
Okay, so now we're going to look at a piece of Talmud, piece of Gemara. Patricia, can you read?
Rabbi Hiya bar Abba became ill and was suffering greatly. The great sage and healer Rabbi Yohanan came to visit and asked him, "Are these afflictions dear to you?"
Cool. And you can keep going.
Rabbi Hiya mustered the strength to answer, "Neither they nor their reward."
So the implication here is that there is already the assumption behind what's going on is that when suffering comes to you, if you receive the suffering, you suffer willingly, then there's going to be some reward for it, right? Because there's a karmic balance. So when we suffer, we can expect that something positive will come from it. But he's saying, Rabbi Chia is saying here, I do not want this illness, and I don't want its reward either. It's not worth it. That's basically what he's saying. Okay, David, can you read?
Rabbi Yochanan said, "Give me your hand." Rabbi Chaya gave him his hand, and instantly he stood up and was revived.
Okay, and keep going.
Another time, Rabbi Yochanan himself became deathly ill, and Rabbi Hanina went to visit him. Rabbi Hanina asked him, Are these afflictions dear to you?" To which Rabbi Yochanan replied, "Neither they nor their reward."
You can keep going.
Rabbi Hanina said to him, "Give me your hand." Rabbi Yochanan gave him his hand, and instantly he was revived.
And keep going.
Then the Gemara asks, why would Rabbi Yochanan need someone else to heal him? Let him heal himself. It then answers its own question.
Okay, so basically, just to recap, Rabbi Yochanan is a mystical healer. Like he goes around, he healed these other rabbis. Why does he need someone to heal him when he gets ill? Why can't he just heal himself? Okay, Lori.
A prisoner cannot free oneself from a prison.
Yeah, and that's the answer. A prisoner can't free oneself from prison. Anyone want to take a stab at reading this in Hebrew?
I will take a stab at it.
Great.
And I'm happy to see that the trope marks aren't there.
Yeah, because it's Talmud.
Oh, okay. Ein chavosh matir atzmo mi beit ha'asorim.
Nice. So ein means it cannot be. Like it's not, right? Chavush means, actually, I'm not sure what chavush means. Matir, though, means to free, to liberate. Atzmo means oneself. So cannot liberate oneself. I get what it means. A chavush is the noun. A chavush is a prisoner. So ein chavush, a prisoner cannot, that's the ein. Matir atzmo, free himself, mi beit ha'asurim. And so a beit is a house, and when it's in this form, beit, it can also mean house of. And asur means the word asur can mean forbidden, but it can also mean restriction. So in other words, it's another word for a prison, a house of restriction. That's what a prison is called, a beit ha'asurim, a house of restriction. All right, makes sense? Oh, okay, and those were, if you had trouble reading it, that's what we would have done. Here you can see it in the transliteration. Ein chavush matir atzmo mi beit ha'asurim. So what is this enigmatic story talking about? Lori, you want to keep reading?
When the sages in the story say that they want neither the afflictions nor their reward, the implication is that their suffering came from their own misdeeds, and that by accepting the punishment, good things will happen. In other words, there is an ethical balance in the universe that makes us responsible for whatever we experience.
Okay, does this make sense to folks? Any questions about that? This idea? Okay. Joshua, if you're in a place to read, you can let us know. Otherwise, we'll just go on to Deborah. Okay, Deborah, you go ahead.
And this brings up two questions. If our experience of suffering comes from our own misdeeds, why were those holy sages suffering? And why does the story emphasize that Rav Yochanan can't heal himself?
Nice. And just to know, the name is pronounced Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan. So, So if our suffering comes from our misdeeds, why are these great rabbis of the Talmud suffering? I'm not sure if that makes sense. Okay, Patricia.
As we have seen, the story of Noah and the great flood affirms this idea of reward and punishment. Elohim said to Noah, "The end of all humans has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence because of the humans. Behold, I'm about to destroy them with the earth."
All right.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or should I wait about karma?
Yeah, let's ask it now because we're in the middle of it.
So I've lived my life, pretty much all of my adult life, dwelling on karma. Much of my life I was very Buddhist. And the other day, I read this quote from a rabbi I know who said, suffering is part of being Jewish, that God didn't give David a crown, he gave him Goliath. And he didn't give, there were like 3 examples. He goes to these examples, about how our suffering is part of helping us become who we are. Like if we were given this perfect life, we wouldn't grow or become who we're meant to be. So I'm just wondering what you think about cause and effect kind of karma as opposed to suffering for some greater meaning.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's actually what this little piece is that we're reading now. We're going to get to some, not necessarily, I wouldn't say we're going to get to one single answer, but we're going to see different perspectives on it. Mm-hmm. And then we'll discuss it more. So no, that was a great question, Patricia. Okay. Patricia, can you? Yeah, Deborah.
Yes. Well, I just heard today from a rabbi almost the opposite thing. That he said, pain, it was something along the lines of pain, having pain in our lives is inevitable and it can be valuable, but suffering is a choice. And
Yeah, because that's kind of a Buddhist concept, and because they're differentiating between pain and suffering. And
yeah,
when they use the word suffering, they're using it in a very particular way that we don't necessarily use when we say the word, when a non-Buddhist says suffering in English. But what that means, the way I understand it, is that pain is something that arises and you can perceive the pain, meaning you can feel the pain and say, ouch. But suffering is when you say to yourself, oh, I don't want to feel this pain. Why did this happen to me? Now you're creating suffering because you're
right.
resisting your experience. So it's not the way we normally use the word pain and suffering. We usually use them interchangeably, I think, in a colloquial kind of way. But as Buddhists, the reason why they're differentiating between those two things is because the whole practice depends on that. It all depends on the ability to behold, to perceive, to be aware of what is arising in your experience without buying into it with mental narrative. That's what meditation is, and that's what also we learn how to do in the flow of life. And that's also something that it's not just a Buddhist thing. It just happens to be one of the central teachings and practices of Buddhism. But it's really a universal thing, which is valuable for us too, as Jews. Very valuable to us. So let's keep going with this. This is very...
Can I ask one
This
more
is
thing?
excellent. Yeah, sure.
Valuable to us, the pain or the suffering, or those two being the same thing.
It's valuable for us to be able to differentiate between them, to be able to say, to be able to accept the pain that arises and not create suffering creating narratives with our minds.
Right,
That's a valuable, that takes a lot of awareness and intention to be able to do that. You have to really be at a certain high level. And also, when the pain arises, it tends to pull us down to a lower level of consciousness, right? So we all know this. Like, we could be at a very high level and then something happens that creates some pain, either a physical pain or a psychological pain, because of something we see on the news or something someone says to us. And we're dragged down in our consciousness and we spontaneously start creating suffering for ourselves with our minds and our words, maybe even our actions, without even really knowing what we're doing because we're in this lower state. So it takes a lot of practice, and that's why spirituality it's simple, but it's not like some easy thing that happens right away. It's something you have to really work on, and you have to reflect on the times that you did create suffering and commit to become more conscious and do better. And that's the progressive journey of the spiritual path, really. And the pain therefore is very valuable, because you can't possibly grow in your consciousness without continuously having opportunities to practice that, to have the pain drag you down and have that power of how should I say, the gravity that it has to seduce us into negative thinking, and to be able to be conscious, to muster the consciousness to just behold it and not buy into it, and perhaps even create something more positive.
Could that have been, Patricia, is that kind of what the rabbi that said that was kind of getting at, that in terms of being Jewish? Because it's almost like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, colloquially. I don't know if that's what he was.
Pull up his quote. Somebody quoted him because it was a commentary on politics in New York. And for some reason, the writer actually grabbed a quote that he or she heard from my friend, this rabbi in Aspen. And what he said was, I guess I don't have it easily, but it was like the point about like David didn't get like a crown, he got Goliath. Like if it had just been, oh, now you're the king, he wouldn't have had the same, he wouldn't have been the same king he became.
Right, right.
Because I wrote to my friend, this rabbi, and I said, thank you so much, because I've spent so much of my life blaming myself. Like every time I go through something bad, I think, oh, this is my karma. Like I, made the wrong decision a long time ago, or as a past life or whatever. And his opinion was he gave, I wish I could think of all the stories, Rachel, who was barren, or whichever, there are all these examples. He gave like 5 examples, from Jewish history that were extraordinary, about how those extraordinary beings didn't start out with just this silver of Moses, wandering in the desert all those years, like he didn't just get to go to Israel, but he still became Moses, right? So it was just, I don't know, it changed my perspective. I know I can be hard on myself. I know a lot of people can be so hard on themselves and also easy on themselves. Like, oh, I have such good karma. And I don't know. I think about
this is very key.
This
is very, very key, and it's inherent in the Jewish story, but it's also really inherent in the human story. This is one of those things that it's interesting because it has a very particular Jewish flavor to it, but it's also really universal at the same time.
Yeah.
So there are certain things like that, and Martin Buber, who's one of my favorite Jewish writers and thinkers, he talked about the Jewish experience as a microcosm of the human experience, which I thought was really amazing.
But also in regard to what Deborah, I know that in Kabbalah, the rabbis who I've studied with all say, no matter what, you should never be sad. Like, I mean, of course, if someone dies or something, you're sad, but like in life, like if you have to turn on music and dance or sing or do something to be happy, that's your job, because you've been given this stuff to deal with. And so you should look at it differently. You shouldn't look at it as, oh, poor me, I'm suffering. It should be, and I read all these, throughout my life, I've always read these survivor stories of all kinds, but especially Holocaust. I'm always so amazed at the people who survived and how it was a mindset, not it could have been luck, it could have been karma, but it could have been like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also just to remind folks, that's the sphera of Yesod, which means foundation. The 9th sphera, the foundation of all of the other midot, is a general positive sense of well-being. So that's a foundational Hasidic teaching that sometimes got lost in Jewish history. It wasn't always something people talked about, but Hasidism kind of brought it back out of the closet. Patricia, you want to keep reading here?
It's not up on my screen anymore. I see all of us. Oh, wait, there we are. But the tradition has always understood that suffering cannot possibly be caused only by one's misdeeds. After all, there are countless examples of innocent and even holy people suffering, such as the martyrdom of the great sage Rabbi Akiva, who, while having his skin raked off his body by the Romans, calmly chanted the Shema, not to mention countless other examples of suffering by the innocent in history and in our own experience.
Yeah. So this is something that Christianity picked up on. Christianity has as their main symbol a man who's being tortured and killed. And he's called a term which comes from the Tanakh. It comes from Yeshayahu, which is the prophet Isaiah, which is a characterizing the Jewish people as the suffering servant. And then Jesus gets that name. But it's not a unique situation. There are plenty of suffering servants. And as you both have been talking about, it's an inherent part of our history and, our present to some degree too. David, can you read this?
In fact, for some of our teachers, the idea of karma or divine justice is outright denied. Ben Azai said, run to do a minor mitzvah, even as you would a major one, and distance yourself from Avera, ava, avera.
Yeah.
For one mitzvah leads to another mitzvah, and avera leads to another avera.
Yeah. So this is amazing because here's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. And of course, there's like this assumption that you see all through the scriptures and the rabbinic writings, just like we just saw above with the guy, Rabbi Yochanan healing him, and the idea that you're going to get a reward for their suffering and all that stuff. But that's the idea of karma and the justice and balance of suffering versus feeling good is all through the writings. But at the same time, you have a Mishnah like this in Pirkei Avot, which is
What
saying,
what is avera? It's a misdeed sin.
yeah, a misdeed or a sin. It's just a word for sin.
I was just looking at the
Here's the word in
avodah
Hebrew.
avodas zarah, which sounds similar, but it's a little bit different, I guess.
Yeah, that's a different word because avodah
It's with a different letter.
is with a dalet, and this is with a
The
resh.
resh. Okay.
A resh and dalet look similar,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it's
Got
a
it.
different word. So avera, actually, the word avera is the same root as the word aver, which is the root of ivrit, which is Hebrew. It's the same exact root, and the reason why it's the same root is because Hebrew comes from the root which means to cross over, and that we talked about that a long time ago in an earlier lesson, where Avraham is the first one who's called an Ivri, a Hebrew. That's in the Torah. The first time you see the word Hebrew in Torah is because Abraham is called an Ivri. And it's because probably, it doesn't say why actually, but we can assume that he was called that because he crossed over from Mesopotamia to Eretz Canaan, to the land of Canaan. He was a nomad, someone who crossed over between these different countries. And so he was called an Ivri. And that's what the word Hebrew means. It means to change, to cross over, to transform. But also a sin is a transgression. You're like you're crossing over from the boundary of what's permitted and what's not permitted. So it's the same word. That's why the word for sin, avera, is actually the same as the word for Hebrew in a way.
So is avera the same as negative mitzvah? I mean, is the word sin like the same as the word for negative mitzvah?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by negative mitzvot. Do you mean like a mitzvah of to not do something?
Because here it's saying for one mitzvah leads to another mitzvah, and an avera leads to another avera. So like if you create, because I know there are positive and negative mitzvahs, right? So
Right.
right.
But an
So
avera just means transgressing a mitzvah. So it could be transgressing a negative mitzvah, or it could be transgressing a positive mitzvah. Like if you go out to the nightclub instead of lighting your Hanukkah candles, that's considered an avera. But so that's a positive mitzvah that you're transgressing. But if the Torah says do not, embarrass someone, and you do embarrass someone, then you're transgressing a negative mitzvah.
Okay.
Either way, an avera literally means a transgression. But here the point is that here in this Mishnah is that it's saying that the reward for a mitzvah is another mitzvah. It's not like you do a mitzvah and then you get more money or something like that. The reward for the mitzvah is that now you're in the habit more of doing mitzvot, and you'll probably do another one. And the consequence or the punishment for an avera, for a sin, is that you'll probably do another sin because now you've accustomed yourself to it. It's just an incredible thing that this is in a core text. It's not some obscure Kabbalistic thing. It's a core text that's a very central part of Judaism. This text here, Pirkei Avot from the Mishnah. All right, so Dave, you want to keep on reading?
This Mishnah is saying that the reason we should do a mitzvah is that we will then likely do another mitzvah. It doesn't mention anything about reward or punishment, but then comes the astonishing conclusion. The reward for a mitzvah is a mitzvah. and the consequence of an avera is an avera. Here the author is clear the only reason to cultivate right behavior is because it leads to more right behavior, and this reason to avoid misbehavior is because it leads to more of the same.
Okay, Lori.
Life is its own purpose. We don't live a certain way to bring about some other result. We live for its own sake. This was also the teaching of Cain and Abel. We looked at in reference to the deeper strata of idolatry, which we might call the worship of our own agenda.
Okay, so just to remind folks, the story of Cain and Abel was that both Cain and Abel brought in Hashem, and it says that Hashem accepted Abel's offering and didn't accept Cain's offering, and so Cain killed Abel. It's a very strange story because it doesn't exactly explain what it means that it be accepted, right? And it doesn't explain any context of offerings either. It just like says this is what they did and this is what happened. But the idea is that Cain just couldn't take the fact that his offering wasn't accepted, which really means that didn't have the consequence he wanted, right? And so that's why, that's how religion itself, how spirituality itself can become idolatry. It's if we're doing it for the sake of getting something out of it other than the thing itself, then it's a kind of idolatry because we're trying to use it to serve us in a way as opposed to opening ourselves to be of service. Yeah, so it's a really core teaching. Joshua, whenever you're ready to read, just let us know because otherwise I won't call on you because I know you're probably in transit and stuff. Oh, you're here.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Okay, so there you go. You can read them.
Antigonus, leader of Socho, received the tradition.
Just before you do that, just at the top there.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Another Mishnah says it in a different way. Antigonus, leader of Socho, received the tradition from Shimon the righteous. He used to say, don't be like servants who serve the master for the sake of receiving a reward. Rather, be like servants who serve the master not for the sake of receiving a reward. And let the awe of heaven be upon you.
Nice. And keep going.
These two opposing views, that we should, one, be motivated by consequences of our actions, because there's divine justice / karma, or two, that we should not be concerned with the future, but rather that we should live with integrity for its own sake, are brought together by this teaching from the Talmud.
Okay, so before we look at the teaching in the Talmud, does everybody get the contradiction here? the number one and the number two? Like number one is the typical idea that there's karma, that God's going to reward us or punish us. And number two is the opposite. We shouldn't be concerned with what's going to happen in the future, but we should live in the right way for its own sake in the moment. You see these two different opposing views?
But why is that a contradiction?
Yeah, that I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well,
you're living,
it's
you're doing positive things. So you don't have to worry about karma, right?
I'm sorry, say again?
If you're living with integrity, then you wouldn't be creating negative karma. So it makes more sense to choose number two because you'd be always in alignment with creating positive. At least that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, absolutely. When I say contradiction, what I mean is that these are two opposing teachings in the tradition. So, and they're two different ways for trying to get a person to do the right thing. So you can find lots of examples of, especially in the Torah, it's filled with examples of God saying, do the right thing, otherwise I'm going to cause terrible things to happen to you. You're going to bring curses upon yourself. There's a whole parsha in Deuteronomy that's all about curses and blessings. And the Israelites are instructed to go stand on two different mountains and recite the blessings and recite the curses to try to inculcate into them the importance of following the Torah, because otherwise all this bad stuff is going to happen. But if they follow it, then all kinds of good stuff will happen. So it's all reward and punishment based thinking that you find in the Torah for the most part. But then you also find in the rabbinic writings this teaching that we just saw, which is about doing what's right for its own sake, that the only reward is that you do more of right, good things. Not that some positive thing is going to happen. So you could see those two different ideas as contradictory, because they're one of them is saying that there's reward and punishment, the other one is saying that there isn't really reward and punishment. So
I also wonder that the consequences of negative actions, because there is divine justice, back to what we were talking about earlier, is that if we're learning from it and we have pain from it, that is still a God-given blessing, because there's the learning from it.
absolutely. And in a way, that idea is actually in the first story we said, because remember when Rabbi Yochanan went to the rabbi, said, "Are these afflictions dear to you?" And he said, "Neither they nor their reward," meaning that when the afflictions come to us, there is a reward for them, because we need to receive the negative karma so that we can learn and do better and do teshuvah. Teshuvah means that we improve ourselves, we return to a good path, and so on, from whatever the misdeed was. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Years ago, I was studying something about religion, and they're talking about Rabbi St. Thomas Aquinas. And he was talking about something called idolatrous faith, and said, you may as well just believe in Jesus, because then you can go to heaven. But he's saying you shouldn't do it just because you want to go to heaven. And they called it idolatrous faith. You should really do it because you just really believe, or you really have the faith. I think he's kind of saying number two here. You should do it because it's the right thing to do, not because of the reward.
Yeah, and that relates to the story of Cain and Abel. That's like another way of saying the Cain and Abel story. That Cain got really mad because he didn't get the result he wanted, and therefore that was like a proof. It was like his own actions proved that he was treating his offering as a type of idolatry, even though he was supposedly offering it to God, to Hashem.
Is this related to the word ira, like awe, or where it has two meanings? Like it can mean fear of God, but it can also mean awe of God. So when you do things out of fear of God, you're afraid you're going to be punished, so you do it, like prayers or blessings or whatever. But if you do it out of awe, you're doing it out of love. Is that what this is talking about, ira?
Well, we are going to look at that word pretty soon. I think that word actually might be coming up in a few slides.
Okay.
But the way you said it, I would say it a little bit differently. The way I've understood that word yirah being used in the tradition is that it's more like the consciousness that we bring to things, and that it's actually another way of looking at the exact thing we're looking at. It's kind of a way to resolve the contradiction, because there are some people that they're not going to achieve real awe. They're just not at that level yet. And if they're afraid of bad consequences and that gets them to do the right thing, then great. The important thing is that you do the right thing. So, I mean, in a way, I'm kind of giving it away. I'm giving away the mystery, because it's not really a contradiction. It's really about what's called in Buddhism skillful means, which means that the teaching it's not about whether the teaching is true or not. It's about whether it works or not. And so some people need to hear it one way, some people need to hear it the other way. But anyway, let's look at this Talmudic teaching now that brings them together. So David.
Rava, and some say Rav, Chisda said, if one sees that suffering has come and should examine their actions, as it is stated, we will search and examine our ways and return to God.
Before you keep going, I just want to make sure that was clear. So he's saying if one sees if one experiences suffering, the first thing they should do is examine their actions. Okay, so just want to make sure we got that part. Okay, go ahead.
If one examined and did not find attributed to the emptying of Torah, as it says, Happy is the person whom you afflict, Yah, and from your Torah you teach.
Okay, so hold on. Before you keep going, does everybody get that? Because the words are a little weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so what it's saying is, if so, first of all, if something bad happens to you, you experience pain, right? It says here suffering, but if we're gonna cross culture with Buddhism, we have to understand that the way it's using the word suffering here, which, by the way, in Hebrew, it's not the word suffering, it's the word isurim. Isurim means things that you don't like. It means pain, essentially. Okay, so if you're suffering if you feel some kind of pain, the first thing you should do is look at your deeds and see if you're doing anything wrong. See if there's something wrong you need to fix. Okay, so that's the first thing here, right? But if you look at your deeds and it doesn't seem like you're doing anything wrong, then you should attribute it to the emptying of Torah, meaning that you didn't study enough. You didn't study enough Torah. And then there's this verse that he uses as a proof text from Psalm 94. Happy is the person whom you afflict. So in other words, God gives us these sufferings in order to teach us to learn Torah more, because it connects it with from your Torah you teach. Okay, so that's the first two examples that it gives. All right, David, now if you want to read from here.
And if one doesn't find it there either, then you know they are afflictions of love, as it says. For those who are loved by the divine are rebuked.
This is incredible, this term in Hebrew, Yisurin shel ahava. Afflictions of love. Okay, Josh, Patricia, can you read?
This is almost humorous, yet incredibly useful teaching. Wait, this almost humorous, yet incredibly useful teaching seems to be saying you might be suffering because you did something bad or failed to do something good, or you might be suffering because you are so very good.
You get it? Afflictions of love. You're either doing something, you're either suffering because you did something wrong or because you didn't study enough, there's some deficiency, or you are suffering afflictions of love, because it says here in Proverbs, those who are loved by the divine are rebuked. It's like masochism or something. I don't know.
I don't get it at all. What?
Well, it's a way. We have to think back on the original story. So remember, the rabbi said, Yochanan said, "Are these afflictions dear to you?" And he said, "Neither them nor their reward." So the idea is that when we take on afflictions, when we willingly take on pain, there's something positive that comes from that. And so we can see pain actually as a positive thing, as a gift in a way, right? When pain comes to us, this is actually a gift. This is going to give me a deeper dimension to myself. This is going to enhance my spiritual well-being, right? That's Isurim shel ahava, afflictions of love. Okay, Deborah, can you read?
In other words, to put it bluntly, suffering happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is kind of the ultimate conclusion, because it's saying that suffering could be happening because you did something wrong or because Hashem loves you. I mean, it's like the extreme opposites of each other. Okay, keep reading.
We cannot escape it, but we can relate to it in a way that is either spiritually helpful or not. The real question is not why suffering happens. The question to each of us is, can we use our suffering in a way that brings about positive transformation? Yeah.
And keep going.
This Talmudic teaching gives us three possibilities for using our suffering in this way.
You can keep going.
Okay. First, it suggests looking at our ethical behavior. Regardless of whether our suffering was really caused by a lack in our ethical behavior or not, We can use the suffering as a signal to ourselves to become more conscious of our actions, to become more awake to our responsibility towards others.
Does that make sense, everybody? You get what that's saying? It's like a signal, like, oh, some pain. I felt some pain. I just stubbed my toe. So what does that mean? Well, the first thing it means is let me look at myself a little bit more critically. Let me see if there's something I need to improve. Okay, how about Patricia?
Second, it suggests looking at how we spend our time. The idiom yitle bevitul Torah, attributed to the emptying of Torah, means neglecting one's Torah study. To the ancient rabbis, studying Torah was the highest value. And today as well, a committed spiritual life should include a regular practice of learning.
Okay. And why don't you keep going?
But we also might expand this idea to include any worthwhile use of our time. The deficiency then would be the wasting of time, the squandering of these few precious moments of life we have in these bodies on this earth. Seen this way, while the first part has to do with responsibility towards others, the second has to do with responsibility towards ourselves.
Amen. Does that make sense?
Sadly, I feel guilty.
Well, it's something we all have to work on, making sure we're not like scrolling on our phones too much. Okay, Lori.
But the last is the most remarkable. If one examined and did not find, then you know they are Yesurin. Yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Shall Ava, afflictions of love, as it says, for those who are loved by the divine are rebuked.
And keep going.
While the first two suggestions are to improve our behavior in some way, the last suggests the suffering itself can have a transformative effect. If we receive it with love, meaning bringing our hearts and attentiveness into connection with the experience of the suffering, in other words, be present with the suffering.
This is the key, being willing, like receiving the suffering with love. Saying, okay, here is this feeling I'm having. Here is this emotional pain I'm having. Here is this guilt. Here is this anger. Let me be a loving presence to it. Okay, Joshua, are you there able to read?
Yes.
Okay.
Because when we relax our natural impulse to resist that which is unpleasant or painful and instead bring our awareness deep into actual feeling and suffering, the pain becomes food for consciousness.
And keep going.
And as we persist in this challenging but simple practice of presence with pain, we can become liberated from identification with pain. The pain subsides in time anyway, but when we are present with this as much as we can, then in its place there is a greater ease and sense of spaciousness, knowing ourselves as a limitless space of consciousness within which the pain and all experience comes and goes.
Yeah, so this is the most challenging but most transformative part of being present and really meditation. Presence with the pain. And this is also, of course, what they're talking about in the Buddhism when they're differentiating between suffering and pain. Okay, Deborah, can you read? Oh, you just have to unmute.
From here, we can begin to understand the Talmudic aphorism mentioned earlier in the story of Rabbi Yohanan.
Yochanan.
Yochanan.
Yeah.
Yochanan. A prisoner cannot free oneself from a prison.
Yeah. Ein chavush matir atzmo mi beta asorim. Okay, keep going.
It is ironic because on the surface, it's talking about Rabbi Yochanan's desire to be set free from his suffering. But on a deeper level, this teaching points to being set free by the suffering.
Nice. Keep going.
Seen this way, his taking of Rabbi Hanina's hand represents the embrace of the suffering, the allowing of its fire to liberate him from the prison of narrow identification with pain. In other words, it represents getting free from ego.
Keep going.
There's a beautiful verse in Psalms which also expresses these two ways of relating to suffering. First, as a consequence of actions, and second, as a path of liberation. The beginning, Reshit, of wisdom, HOKHMAH, is fear of God, Yirat Hashem, good intelligence to all who practice. Its praises stand forever.
I knew it. I knew we were going to have Yira. I knew it was coming. Here you go, Patricia. Why don't you read, Patricia?
Oh, on the surface, this verse is simply saying that if we want to act wisely, we should have a healthy fear of the consequences of our actions. This is the first way of relating to suffering, using it as an opportunity to refine our behavior.
Keep going.
But a deeper level emerges when we understand the richness of the words, HOKHMAH, wisdom, in the second Sephirah.
Is the second Sphira.
Is the second Sephirah and means spacious creative consciousness. Yira, fear, is also connected to the word for seeing,
Re'iyah.
Re'iyah, and also can mean beholding, awe, amazement. In other words, being present with. Hashem is the divine name that means existence or being or reality.
And keep going.
Reshit HOKHMAH Yirat Hashem. The beginning of freedom is presence with what is.
Wow.
That is, being present with whatever suffering comes our way.
That's it. So, here, why don't we sing it a little bit? Reshit HOKHMAH Yirat Hashem. 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 Amen. And that concludes this entire lesson on HOKHMAH. I hope you enjoyed. Any thoughts before we move on to something else? Okay, so I want to let folks know just a couple things. The way I've been organizing the lessons on the page, on the course page on the website, is like is a certain way, but I've come up with a new way, and I think it's better. So I'm just going to show it to you real quick, so that you know what to look for when you go to the website. So one moment. Okay. Can you guys see, does it say the Art of Judaism there? Okay, so this is your course page. It says Cohort Bet, right? So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll notice, first of all, there's some more of these buttons on top. So I've been improving these buttons so that when you want to find stuff, you can click the button you want and find things more easily. as opposed to having to look for them in the different lessons. Like, oh, with that lesson 11 or 12, it just started piling up, and I was like, this is not a good way to do it. So, wait a minute. This is cohort bet. Oh, okay. So these are the lessons as I've been doing them, lesson 1, lesson 2, and they all have their slides and their recordings and all that kind of stuff. But what I've started to do, and I've started to do it for the next cohort. Cohort Gimel started recently. So I've been redoing the organization, and I gave you a link to it. So if you click that, now it says, welcome Cohort Gimel. You can use this page because I think it's easier. If you scroll down, you'll see past their dates, the lessons. Look at this. Lesson 0 is the introduction. And this was actually like lesson 1 to 8 or something like that. I just put it all in one thing so that it's more clear and easy to see all the different themes, as all these are introductory. And then lesson 1 is Keter. And it's all this stuff. So we learned all this stuff. It's a lot of things. But it's all in one PDF now. So you can click on that. Ultimately, it'd be nice if there was a table of contents in it, which I did not do yet, but that'll come at some point. I'll make it better as I go. And then here's HOKHMAH, and we just finished this HOKHMAH lesson. So you can see the very last thing is Reshit HOKHMAH, the beginning of freedom is presence. We looked at a prisoner cannot free oneself, don't serve to receive a reward, and all that different stuff. Next week, we'll start doing lesson 3, and I'll start building it here. So the point is, it's a better organization, I think, if you just click the, if you look at this note on your cohort bet page, it says, I've reorganized the lessons for easier access, and you can find the newly organized lessons on the Cohort Gimel page. You could just click it and find it like that. And then that way, you can get the different things we do for Hebrew and the different prayers we're learning, all that stuff based on these buttons, which I'll show you also. So what I'd like to do is go back to a prayer that we started learning a while ago, and then we cut it off. The reason we stopped is because I was compelled by Becca's request to have all of the basic things in one thing. So I kind of put that stuff aside, and then we started learning that, and I've since incorporated it into the lessons. So now I want to return. We were learning Birkat Hamazon together. You guys remember that? Okay, so I'm not sure where folks are. So I selected the second lesson on that. You may or may not be ahead of that, but let's see where we are. So this is the first level of it, and I have the transliteration there, so it's easy for people just to immediately see what the words are if you're having trouble reading in Hebrew. But if you want to read it in Hebrew, I would definitely encourage you not to look at the translation and just try to read it in the Hebrew. So this goes like this. Let's look at the English first. First of all, let's just remind ourselves, this is a psalm which is sung in the beginning of the blessing after meals. And it's a psalm that's written about the time when the Jews were in exile in Babylon. So it's after the destruction of the first temple, before the rebuilding, which became the second temple. And it's all about like longing to return to Zion from sitting by the rivers of Babylon. It doesn't say that in the rivers of Babylon in this psalm, but it's the same idea. This one goes, Shir Hamalot B'Shuv Adonai Et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kechomim Az Yemale Sechok Binu Ulshonenu Rina. All right. Who feels comfortable to jump in and sing that? Anybody? I saw you guys mouthing it. Anybody want to give it a try? All right. Well, if no one wants to give it a try, then I have to ask you.
I'll see if I can remember it. It's been a while.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
All right. What key are we in?
Well,
Where are we
I
at?
just did it in A minor. Shir HOKHMAH, like that.
Okay, let's try that. Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai et shivat zion hayinu kechomim az yemale sichot pinu ushonenu rina.
That was awesome, Joshua. That was great. I hope you're making other people feel more confident now to have the chutzpah to unmute and try it out. Let me I just wanted to correct one thing.
Okay.
Just this word here, just it's a pronunciation, tzion. So Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion, like that. I'm going to sing it one more time, and then someone else I want to sing it. Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion hayinu kechomim az yemale sechok pinu ulshonenu rina. All right. Who's going to come forward? Let us hear your voice. All right. Well, if no one's comfortable with it, then we need to do it a few times. So who can do it with me? We'll go back and forth. Okay, Deborah's going to do it. All right. So I'll sing a little bit, then you sing, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai. Your turn, Shir.
She. Sorry, it's a weird key for me.
You know, let me get in a better.
Shir hamalot.
That's probably too low for you, right?
It's too low, but I can't go an octave higher.
No, that's okay. I can do it in any key. So
Okay, sorry.
if it were like a complicated jazz thing, I probably wouldn't be able to modulate. But for this, I can. They're pretty easy.
Thank you.
So let's see if we go up here. Shir hamalot. How's that?
B'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion hayinu kecholmim.
That was great. That was awesome. Okay, here's the next part. Az yemale sechok pinu ulshonenu rina. So you're going to go Az
Yemale sechok pinu ulshonenu rina.
Whoa, Yofi, that was awesome. Let's do it now. I'll do the whole thing and then you do the whole thing.
Okay.
Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion hayinu kechomim az yemale sechok pinu ulshonenu rina. Okay, so you're going to go
Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion hayinu kecholmim az yemalai sechok pinu ulshonenu rina.
Yeah, awesome. And I see other people singing a little bit along with us, and that's good. Everyone should, when I'm singing, when Deborah's singing or whoever is singing, try to sing it along, because that's how you learn it. Okay, who wants to? Yeah.
What does the word rina mean?
It means song.
I thought that was sheer.
That's also song.
Okay.
There's more than one word for song.
Okay.
The difference in the meaning is that Rina, actually it says in the English here, you can see it says joyous song. And Rina has that connotation of like a joyful song, whereas Shir is more of just generic song. Okay. Who else wants to go back and forth with me? Someone else.
I'll give it a go.
All right. You want to just go for it, or should we go back and forth?
I think I got it.
Okay, go ahead.
Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai et shivot Zion chayinu chechomim az yimele sechok pinu ushunenu rina az yamru vagoyim.
Oh, you're going on. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
I wasn't sure how far we got, so we must have done the next part together if you're going on. So let's actually keep on going. And other folks, if you're not feeling comfortable with this, just, I'll show you how to access it, so it's really clear. So you can start to learning it. You can also learn all the words at the level 3 meanings page. But let's do this now. Az yomru vagoy. David, you want to just sing it?
Az yamru vagoyim higdil Adonai lasot im ela higdil Adonai lasot imanu hayinu semechim.
Nice, beautiful, beautiful. Joshua, do you remember this new part?
Wait, how's it go?
This is the one that goes Az yomeru
Oh, yes.
vagoy.
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
So
I think.
I'm gonna go down to here it is with the transliteration. All right, so this page has all of it up to that part, up to Hayinu Semechim. You want to try it, Joshua?
Okay.
You want me to sing it first, or you want to just go for it?
I'll just go for it.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Can we go just a little bit higher? Is that possible?
Yeah, you're sure? Are you sure you want to go higher?
I mean, well, I guess higher than the A minor that we did it before.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
already a minor third higher than that.
Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is
that should
probably
be
high
it.
enough for you.
Okay, great. Shir hamalot b'shuv Adonai et shivat Zion hayinu kichomin az yemale sicho pinu ushonenu rina az yomru vagoyim Higdil Adonai lasot bimelet Higdil Adonai lasot imanu hayinu simechim.
That was great. I know it was a
I
little.
always get lost in that one spot.
Yeah, I'll sing it for you. So
Thank you.
I'll do it from Az Yomru Vagoyim. So Az Yomru Vagoyim Higdil Adonai La'asotim Ele Higdil Adonai La'asotim Manu Hayinu Semechim. So you can kind of see why I did it down in A minor.
Yeah.
Because it goes
That
up
makes
pretty
sense.
high.
Yeah.
Yomru vagoyim higdil Adonai la'asotim melech higdil Adonai la'asotim manu hayinu semechim. Yeah, it's got a range. This song's got a range. Now, did we go further than that? Does anybody know? Did we do Shuva Adonai? We did?
I think so.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get at the next lesson then, so that we can catch up here. Okay. I'm going to pull out the fourth. Does anybody have a sense if we actually got through the entire psalm? Like, did we do Haloch yelechu vacho Nose meshech hazara Bo yavo verina Nose alumotav. Does that sound familiar, or is that too far? Anybody know? Not sure? Okay, so let's go to the one before that then. Okay, I'm going to put it on the screen now. Okay, so this is what we just did. And here's some new stuff. Anyway, let's just go. I'm not sure. Let's see who can sing this part. I'll do it first. Shuva Adonai et shiviteinu ka'afikim banegev hazorim bedima berina yiktzoru. Does that sound familiar? Anybody feel comfortable singing that? David? Joshua? Deborah?
I'll give it a go. Yeah.
Oh, you go. Okay, great. So you're going to start. Shuva.
Shuva Donai et Shiva Te. Are we back in A minor?
No, that's see. That's
Is that
up.
the higher?
Yep.
Okay. Shuva Donai et Shiva Teinu Kafikim Banegev Hazorim Bedima Berina Yetzoru.
That was great. Beautiful. Who else wants to give it a try? Patricia, you want to go back? Huh? Go ahead, David.
I'm usually in singing. I'm kind of a C minus. Shuva Adonai et Shaviteinu Kafikim Banegev Hazorim Badima. I thought I get lost on the Barina Yizgaru.
Let me do that last part with.
Oh yeah, I get confused on that melody there.
Yeah, let me do the ending of it. The Ha-Zorim, okay? Ha-Zorim Bedima. You try.
Hazorim Bedima.
Yeah. Berina Yiktzoru.
Berina Yiksoru.
Very nice. Beautiful. Deborah, were you going to try, or was it Patricia? Someone was going to try. No? Okay, I think it's clear that we did this already. So, let's see, which one is this? This is number 3. Okay, let me get number 4 up. Here comes number 4. Okay. Who can do this one? Hallelujah yelech uvacho nosei meshech hazara bo yavo verina nosei alumotav. Whoops. Hav. I nine. Let me do some eyes. Let me just get the ending of that. I played it wrong. Bo yavo verina no se alumota. Hey, and night. That's how it goes. All right. Who can try that? Who can sing that for us?
Okay, I'll give it a shot. I think
All right.
this is new.
Oh, it is new?
This feels new to me. Well, it feels new to
good.
me.
All right, if it is new to you, it's probably new. I just couldn't
Okay.
I couldn't determine exactly where we were without watching the videos. But okay, let's do the let's go back and forth then. Okay, I'll
Okay.
sing a little bit, then you sing. All right, here we go. Haloch yelech uvacho. You try.
Halok yelech uvacho.
Good. Do you want to go down actually? Haloch yelech uvacho. Try that.
Halok yelech uvacho.
Good. And then no say meshech hazara. You try.
No se meshech hazara.
Good. Bo yavo verina no se alumotav. So you're going to go bo yavo verina. Okay, go ahead.
Bo yavo virina no se alumota.
Hey, and nine. Very nice. Nice. That was good. Okay, I'm going to do the whole thing, then you do the whole thing.
All right.
Haloch yelech uvacho no se meshech hazara bo yavo verina no se alumotav. Hey, and nine, and so on. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Haloch.
Halok yelech uvacho no se meshech hazara bo yavo verina no se alumota.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, anybody else want to give it a try, or anybody want to go back and forth with me? All right, Deborah.
I'll go back and forth.
Okay.
I know. I think I asked you this once before, but the word hazara, does that mean bag of seed?
Yeah.
And is that why
Well,
it's...
it means zara just means seed,
Okay.
and a meshech is a bag.
Okay. So is that where the Yiddish term, like, because I remember my dad referring to sort of junk food as hazara.
I think that's different. That's a different word. It's chazarai. I think that in Yiddish, right?
I don't know.
Didn't he put a little e on the end of it? Chazarai.
No,
Oh, he didn't. He didn't. Interesting.
I don't think so. Hazara.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert on Yiddish.
I don't know.
But it could be, but I kind of doubt it. I think
Okay.
I think it comes from something else. But I can, if I remember, I can ask someone who knows Yiddish. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so we're gonna come up for you up to here. Okay, so I'll do it bit by bit with you. Haloch yelech uvacho. You try.
Haloch yelech uvacho.
Good. Nosei Meshech Hazara.
Nosei Meshech Hazara.
Good. Bo Yavo Verena. You try Bo.
Bo Yavo Verena.
Nosei Alumotav.
Nosei Alumotav.
Nice. Okay, I'll do the whole thing, and then you do it. Haloch yelech uvacho, nosei meshech hazara, bo yavo verena, nosei alumotav, hey, anai, nanai, nai, and so on. So, haloch.
Haloch yelech uvacho, nosei meshech hazara, bao yavo varina, nosei aluma tov.
Yeah, it's actually tav at the end.
Tav.
Yeah, nosei alumotav. Nice, beautiful. Okay, so it would be great if folks could learn this. You can access a recording, and you can see a sheet that has the where is it? Oh, it's not on this slide, but anyway, I'll show you where it is on the website. Okay, so here's your Art of Judaism cohort bet. Scroll down a little bit to the classes and click on the cohort Gimel where it's actually no, you don't even have to do that. You don't even have to do that. Just click on songs and prayers right here at top. So click on songs and prayers, and you'll see these various levels of learning songs and prayers. The reason they're in different levels is because the level 1 stuff are the things that I think are most important for every Jewish person to really know very well. And then, if you feel like you got those down, you can go on to level 2. However, Birkat Hamazon is on level 3. And that's because it's a communal prayer. So even though it's not the most important thing to know in terms of like your own personal practice, it's a great thing to know when you're in a group of Jewish people who are eating together. So that's why I teach it, because it's hard to learn. It's actually hard to learn this unless someone teaches it to you. So that's why I'm doing it. And look at this. You can click here to listen. And if you click on that.
Shir Hamalot B'Shuv Adonai.
Okay, so there's a recording of me singing it. It's not necessarily in the best key for everybody. So you'll have to just kind of learn it from that, but then sing it in your own key. That feels good to you. These are the different lessons for Birkat Hamazon, and I'm realizing that there's not yet here a PDF of just the whole thing. So I will put that there, and it will be there like tonight or tomorrow. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions or anything on that? So I want to start teaching Torah Trope to you guys. We have only a few minutes left, so we'll just scratch the surface. I'll just show a little bit of it to you. And so you can see what it looks like, so you can see what we're doing, and we'll learn a moment of it. So these are... So if you look at the first thing, for example, right here, who can read this first of all? Someone unmute yourself and read this first word.
HOKHMAH.
Yeah, say it again.
HOKHMAH.
Yeah, HOKHMAH. The Sheva here, the 2 dots that are on top of one another under the Dalet, sometimes it has a little sound and sometimes it's silent. In this case, it's silent. When it comes at the beginning of a word, it always has a sound. When it's in the middle, It could be either way. Anyway, so this is silent. So you don't say kadma, you just say kadma. And the HOKHMAH is the name of the trope. So the trope is this little line on top that looks curved to the left. You see that little line? Okay, so a HOKHMAH is that mark. And when that mark comes over a word, it indicates a certain melody. And this is so the way we learn the melody is to sing the names of the melody. So we're going to sing the word HOKHMAH, and we're going to sing it in the right melody. So this is how it sounds. HOKHMAH. That's it. HOKHMAH. Who can try it? All right, Deborah.
HOKHMAH.
Good. Does that feel too low for you?
It's low, but that's okay.
So, Deborah, just keep unmuted for a second, and I'm going to go through some of these words here and melodies, but I'm going to sing it up in your key. So instead of HOKHMAH, I'm going to go HOKHMAH. You try it.
HOKHMAH.
Yeah, that's better for you. Okay. Read the next word, Deborah.
Megaza. Megaza.
So the second letter is not a gimel, it's a nun.
Okay. Menazza. Menazes. Menazes. I don't
So
know
it
what
does.
the last letter is.
The last letter does look kind of like two Zions, but they're actually those, and they are actually two Zions. But when you put the two Zions together like that in this font, that makes the letter chet. So this is mem nun chet.
Okay. Menach.
Very good, very good. Now the three dots under the mem though are an oo vowel.
Oh, munach.
You got it, munach.
Okay.
Munach. Now, the accent is usually on the last syllable of Hebrew, but also whenever you have these trope marks, the trope marks are also telling us where the accent is. So this little backwards L under the nun is telling us that that's where the accent is. So instead of munach, it's munach. You try.
Munach.
Very good. So that's going to sound like this. Munach. You try.
Munach.
Good. Now I'm going to put them together. I think I could probably come down not a little lower. So I'm going to come down here. HOKHMAH munach. You try.
HOKHMAH munach.
Beautiful. And let's do one more word. Read this last word here. Middle word.
Zarka.
You got it. Zarka. It's going to sound like this. Zarka.
Wow.
I'll do it again.
Zarka.
You got it. You got it. So I'm going to put all three together. HOKHMAH munach zarka. Try it. HOKHMAH.
HOKHMAH munach. Zarka. Or something.
Very
like
close. Zarka.
Zarka.
You got it. All right. It's 7:31. If you guys will stay on for like one more minute, Deborah's getting it pretty quick. So we're going to go back and forth and just learn this whole first line. And then I'll leave it to you guys to practice this on your own because it's in the stuff you can access. So the next one is we've got a munach again. You see that? Another munach and a little L on the bottom, backwards L. That's another munach. And now what's this word?
Segol.
You got it. You got it. So munach is a symbol that goes with different things. So the first one was a munach zarka. Munach zarka. The next one sounds like this. Munach segol. You try.
Menach segol.
Good, but munach segol.
Munach segol.
Good, and then the last munach sounds like this. Munach.
Munach.
I'm going to do the last three, then you do it. Munach segol, munach.
Munach segol, munach.
Yeah, munach.
Munach.
Good. I'm going back to this one. Munach zarka. Munach segol. Munach. So you're going to go munach zarka.
Munach zarka.
This one is zarka.
Zarka.
Munach segol.
Munach.
This one is munach.
Munach.
Okay, I'm gonna do the whole thing. Kadma munach zarka. Munach segol munach. Try. Kadma.
I'm going to be winging this, but Kadmach Munach
Munach.
Zarka. I'm
Close.
sorry.
Zarka. Zarka.
Zarka.
Munach segol.
Munach segol.
Munach.
Munach.
Nice. Yofi. Beautiful. From everybody else who have been sitting here listening to it, did anybody want to give it a try?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
The dot in the middle of each of the nun part of the trope?
Are you talking about the dot in the middle of this gimel?
No, each nun has a dot in the
Each
middle.
nun? I'm not seeing it. Oh, the nun here. Munach. Oh, I see.
The second word.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah. It's a grammatical thing that I can't explain. My brain doesn't even see it because I know it doesn't tell me any information.
Okay, so it's not part of the trope.
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, the segol are these three dots up above the lamed, and the munach happens over and over again, this backward L. A zarka is a squiggly line over the aleph, and the kadma is this curved to the left line over the mem.
Okay.
All right. So we can stop here unless someone else wants to give it a try before we go. Okay. Well, so I want to see if you can learn that. You know, it's a short thing, and it's lesson 1 of Trope. So all you have to do is go to. So here's your page. And then you just go to Learn Trope. Okay, and you click on that. And then see there's a lesson 1. If you click on lesson 1, you'll see this, which is what we looked at. And if you go back to lesson 1, you can listen to me singing it.
HOKHMAH munach zarka. Munach segol. Munach.
So if you learn it little bit by little bit, it's really not a big deal. It's a little tiny thing. Sing it for a few times. Sing it a couple times a day. You'll have it. Cool. Any questions about any of that? I'll send this to you in an email too. Yes, Deborah.
Is there a place where, or I don't know if this is valid, like it would help me for sure, but is there a place where it appears on like 5 lines of a staff? Because I've already forgotten what I literally just sang through. It's complicated for me.
It can be written out, but the question, if it's written out, then it's locking you into a certain. It depends how your brain works. Like, if it's written in a certain key, and that might be the wrong key for you. So I encourage people to learn it by ear, not to read it as music, because that way you're just transposing it spontaneously based on how you can sing it. So it makes sense that you forgot it because we're just starting learning it. But if you listen to it every day, you'll know it in a few days. I would really encourage you to learn it by ear because especially since that's how it works. When you're reading from the Torah, you don't see musical notes written. You see the HOKHMAH and the munach and stuff. So you want to be able to see those things and know auditorially what they sound like. I mean, in your inner auditory.
I have a new appreciation for 13-year-old boys.
There you go.
I had no idea. It's really complicated.
And girls. A lot of girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Any other questions, anybody?
Did you have the Zoom up for last week's?
Say again?
The Zoom up for last week's session.
The Zoom. Oh, yeah, the video.
Yes. I looked for it last week, but I didn't see it. I don't know if it's up.
I apologize. You're right, because when I went in today to prepare and I looked at the last one, I realized it wasn't posted. So I apologize for that. I guess with everything that was going on, I kind of screwed up. So I'm really sorry about that. But it is up now. And this one will be up right away. So I'll send you a follow-up email very soon. Okay. I'll see you guys. Oh, I won't see you next week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Correct? Yes. Okay, very good. I'll see you soon, everybody. Be well. Have a good night. You can unmute if you want. Wish each other Laila Tov.
Laila Tov.